This is Leaf Life. All things cannabis for all people. Now, Ricker and the Bearded Lorax.
We publish a free magazine called The Leaf that is available in print in 13 states and counting at your local cannabis retailer and also available online at leafmagazines.com. I'm Mike Ricker, your host of Leaf Life, proudly with my co-host and beloved bestie, Wes Abney, also known as the Bearded Lorax.
I speak for the trees.
And of course, there's AJOG.
Hola, aloha OGs.
And Mary J. White.
The smoking female.
Welcome to the second half of this Leaf Life show called Artificial Intelligence. In just a moment, we'll get into if AI will bring us a better future, and we'll spin AJ's wheel to see what products Pete Gibson, who is a software engineer and a digital collage artist who worked with artificial intelligence and created the cover for the Leafs June 2023 Impact issue. This show's Greg the Guinea Pig is going to be trying next. But first, it's time for Who Does That?
Really? Gotta be kidding.
No way.
Seriously?
Utterly perplexing.
Who does that?
Utterly perplexing. Mary, your beauty is, I mean.
Oh my goodness.
Please. Thank you, honey. That's very, very sweet. Okay. I have to tell you the story of Emily Wright. Emily started taking Ozempic in 2018.
Did she meet Mr. Wrong and that's the beginning of... No, okay.
No. She took this Ozempic, the weight loss drug, and she lost 80 pounds. She's been able to keep it off, so yay, since 2018, right?
Okay.
The other issue, though, is that she's been off it now for about a year. She has kept the weight off, but she vomits so continuously that she cannot work. She can no longer work because this drug, the reason it helps you lose weight is it does all kind of things, slows your stomach down, slows it, blah, blah, blah. Anyway,
Not
you
healthy.
lose weight. It's not healthy. But
Trim
there's
spa, baby.
yeah, right. But you got
Continuous vomit.
Ozempic, there's Wegovy, but what they are, they're semaglutide.
Oh.
Yeah, and whatever this is, it slows the passage of food through the stomach. You feel full longer, so you quit eating.
Right.
Anyway, the problem is when your stomach slows down, it quits, and you're hurling like a motherfucker.
What?
So, she has been diagnosed with cyclic vomiting syndrome, and she can't work. So, if you're a little chubby and you're thinking about taking one of these here pills, just embrace the chub, people.
They're actually shots.
Oh, well, whatever.
They're shots.
Yeah.
That's so invasive.
So just, take a walk and eat a muffin and don't worry about it, okay?
Yeah,
Wow.
thank you. Well, people are want to be thin. We live in a world with a lot of pressure to look gorgeous, right? And
true.
at the same time, a lot of options for food, especially foods that make you fat.
Like your donut hat
Yeah.
Exactly.
from Grassroots, California.
It's a
Shout out
KGB collab,
Grassroots.
KGB glass. They do these donut glass pieces, right?
Cool, yeah.
And it's a Grassroots California collab. And I do have donuts on my hat. Is that why you keep salivating, Wes? Who does that? Thank you very
Watch
much,
your
Mary
lid.
J. White. Now let's spin
Welcome.
AJ's wheel and see what Pete's going to be hitting next. All right.
Look at that.
Pete Gibby.
Ooh.
I love that wheel spin. and that's
yeah.
instant correct.
Yeah, bro. It's right there.
correct.
From their darts line, Ember Valley sent us a bomb indica joint here.
Yeah.
This is a pre-roll.
Yep.
Beautiful.
As we talked about earlier, they have award-winning flowers, so I'm expecting the best.
Ember Valley, man. For that wheel. Last night I was hanging out with my mother, and of course we sat in the living room and watched Wheel of Fortune.
Oh.
And she said, Pat's retiring in a year. Yeah.
Yeah.
And you know what? I said, how much is that guy making? I said, I bet he's making 10 mil a year. And I looked it up, 15.
Yeah.
15 mil a year.
Wow.
And Vanna White hasn't had a raise in like 8 years, something like that. 10 years.
Shocking.
So she's trying to get half of his salary added to
Good.
her salary.
Good.
But it was fun. I hadn't watched Wheel of Fortune in a long time. They spin that wheel, kind of like, I think they stole our idea.
I think they did too, man.
Yeah.
It's a great show.
Stole our. Thank you, Leaf Life.
Oh, absolutely.
Wheel of Fortune.
Fuck Wheel of Fortune.
God, my guy. How's that Ember Valley dart? Looks like a brain dart to me.
It's
brother.
nice. It's nice.
Yeah.
Very smooth. It's hit or miss these days sometimes, especially with pre-rolls.
100%.
Like you can, unless you break them open. I've had the shadiest where I'm like, that's sawdust. I mean,
Most
this
of them,
fucking
are
sawdust,
dustpan, bro. And
Yeah.
they sweep it off the floor, roll
There's
it
some
in the
good
trash.
ones, you know. I think the ones that do it well should do, more promotion and not feel a little shameless about letting us know that this is actual flour.
Right on.
Being used to it.
Hey,
Yeah.
Ember Valley, big ups. They support us in California. And you know what? Companies that support us, we support them back. So we're very happy to have them on the Leaf Life podcast. Now, let's talk about if AI is going to promote a better future for human beings. We spoke last segment about how things will get easier as long as AI is controlled. But the worry is, will it take control of itself at some point?
I think we're pretty far away from that. I mean, if we're, because I understand that there's like 4 or 5 different types of AI, right? Kind of the reactive stuff. The ones we're using now are kind of like short-term memory, and that's really where it is, as the system gets feedback, after it's going out there executing what's doing, it's getting feedback in there, it's making adjustments, right? It's remodeling itself to adapt. But it doesn't do that too much. So like self-driving cars is always the example used. But, there's a lot of language learning, like especially like programming and just being able to understand that side of things. But then emotions are also another big piece of it right now. So they've been working on that stuff too. But the later phase, like the last phase is, okay, it's self-aware, right?
And self-learning.
But I think, and this is where I feel pretty comfortable. Humans have this tendency of acting like we know fucking everything and then launching products, but it's like
12-year-olds do.
Yeah, totally. I mean, look at ours. Like we know a sliver of the ocean, right? But it's just like we can talk about all this other stuff, and we do a lot of good stuff. But at the end of the day, if there's systems that are, basically created, with humans and stuff like that, our limitations, our lack of understanding with everything, it's going to have limitations. It can self-learn, but there's still going to be parameters out there unless it's going out there and fielding and gathering other data, that we don't know, which would require like, building things. And there's other ways to do it. It can't just inherently, not that I would assume anyways. Again, I'm not one of the experts, so maybe, that shit's out there already and who fucking knows. But
AI is not going to know the air temperature on Mars unless it's already inputted, right?
Well, there could be some, there could be some of that stuff. It's depending on what other variables are out there and what other information's out there to be able to calculate things, so there's always going to be those aspects of it. But, at the end of it, I think we're just so far away from something being, when we hear AI, that's where all the movies, they think of the Will Smiths and all that type of stuff. And that becomes the default. But it's like we were talking about earlier, AI has been around for a while in a variety of different ways. And it's a tool, right? Yeah. There's other things that it's being used for, but like, I don't know, the self-actualization and having these things, plot against us, I think pretty far away.
But have you seen some of the military
creepy.
AI? Oh my goodness.
They do creepy stuff, and I think that's where it becomes dangerous.
Those videos are like, holy shit. But my brother, anyways, I have a friend in the military, and he's pretty high ranked. He's a Green Beret, and he was telling me like these things are very real, but they can only operate for a very short amount of time because of the amount of heat that's being transferred in the like literal just process of this shit going down. It's like frying mechanisms before the robots can get further than like 5 minutes. So it's like so they're hitting it up against a wall.
Military.
Interesting.
I believe hemp is the solution to that, honestly. Which I don't want to shout it out too loud, but
well, let's talk about the military.
Hempcrete is like
if the military becomes more automated. Then we have less people dying on the battlefield. Now, where it is scary is when you have a country like China that is currently using AI to run all of its surveillance, where it's then connected to your phone and your digital passport, your citizen credit score, which will literally tell you if you can get on a train or not on a train, or get on a plane or not on a plane, and it knows where you are constantly. So you can look at that in China and say, under a Chinese regime, that's a very kind of evil tool.
Yep.
But under a free society,
sure.
It can be a very positive tool.
Totally.
And on the battlefield, it might kill more people, but it also might save more lives. So I think with everything, it's like there's that duality.
There's such a polarity, yeah.
100%.
The battlefield thing, it's like, but also it will desensitize humans from like understanding like the grit of what it takes to like maintain what we have, So there's just like always the opposite of like the desensitizing like what this human experience is. That's really what's up in the air, I feel like, in a lot of ways with AI, which is interesting. So it's kind of like, do we want this authentic, or do we want, like you're saying, it's like almost transcending the having to deal with that part, right? There's an opportunity for that.
Do we want to be Wallies?
It's like so easy to see how it could become totalitarian tool, like, so that's the slippery slope.
I think that's why we have to engage in it, though. We can't sit back and just say, these tools scare me. I don't know everything about them. And then we just got to, because then we're going to end up like coal miners in West Virginia. We're going to end up like people who've had their craft, their industries automated out. Like, that's terrible. And I do think there's always like coal mining's a different thing right there. But in terms of artists and stuff, there's always, I think, going to be that need for human engagement, right? There's always going to be that value there if you're going to have something built by hand, especially when everything else is automated. That stuff's going to be huge. So, but I think it becomes a part of us, like our responsibility to say, hey, can we use this positively, and how can we do so? We're basically using this stuff ideally to remove the physical stuff we have to do to accomplish a goal. So like ideally, if tech is clicking the way it should be, like automation, everything is going the way it should, we should be able to seamlessly, like if I have an idea right now, I could transmit that to you in its entirety. Right. And so there's no typing stuff out, wondering what, your background, your experience, how are you going to take this? Right. I want you to see literally the experience that I'm creating or I have in my mind. And I think that's the golden peak where we can do that and then condition to really facilitate ideas and grow. Are we able to do that? And will we have the type of tools without the restrictions, right? Because again, the power is controlling these tools. With the money, that's ultimately going to dictate a lot of things for the rest of us. So, like I said, there's so many different types of things. I just think the one option we don't have is to just sit around and watch it and not tinker with it a little bit. I think it's worth exploring, and because it's not going anywhere. The cat's out of the bag. It's rolling. So there's no amount of petitions that are going to, convince billionaires, hey, don't make money on this thing.
There's a cool Radio Lab episode, which is a great podcast on AI about these scientists who programmed it to write. They wrote in a prompt. And again, you tell the AI what to do. And they asked it to create a chemical similar to cyanide. And it came back with a ton of proposed chemicals. They were doing pharmaceutical research, and it created new deadly chemicals that had never been known to man.
Great.
And so they had this moral dilemma of, do we release these? Like, do we release this data or not? And at the end of the day, the AI did it once, so it can do it again.
Whoa.
But again, it's like that tool. It can also run pharmaceutical tests in seconds that used to take, years sometimes, because it can take all this data and then put in a drug combination and then use that data to say the likely outcomes.
Yeah.
So there's all these ways that it could kill us.
Right.
It could create drugs that save us. It depends on who's writing in that prompt. And I think even for the artists, like, the AI doesn't make the art for you.
Right.
Like, we featured AI art at one of our events, and like, it takes a lot of prompting to get the outcome you want for the art. So you have all these bad AI, goofy, disjointed, fucked up images. And then with like elements of what you want, but not all of the elements. And you have to change the word. So again, it's like, it's what we put into it. But when we want a better life, we want less labor. We want more automation. We want more freedom to live.
Yes.
Versus than to struggle, which might redefine the human experience. But I think this is the greatest tool potential since like the internet. To change the way things are done. And if AI does start to get really not self-aware, because I don't think it can, but we really let it be unfiltered and it takes in all the world's data, then we can ask the AI, what would so-and-so do? Even
Jesus.
like, you can ask AI, what would Jesus say? Or how would he respond to this? And AI will give you, because it's looked at the whole Bible, it will give you a response that would be consistent with that. So what if this is just a beautiful tool for us to then use to look back at humanity and say, what could we do to actually solve global warming? Or how do we reduce, the prison population problem? Or what's the ideal age for a congressman or woman? And I'll tell you, it's not over 80. But the AI we could use this to make the world a better place. So I'm hopeful.
If you want to read Wes's article on artificial intelligence and our October technology issue, just go to leafmagazines.com. All right, now, Pete, now it's time for you to play Don't Make It Weird.
Don't make it weird. Don't make it weird.
Make it weird. You're going to make it weird.
Don't make it weird.
Hey, Pete. Don't make it weird, bro.
Too late.
Yeah, Pete.
It's always weird when I'm around you.
You're from Portland or Oregon.
Yeah, but regardless, man, I was weirdness going in.
You were weird before Portland?
Yeah, I added a little extra.
So it's like an extra layer.
Gotcha.
Polar
filmy.
fleece weird.
Yeah, a little filmy, a little dicey.
Hey, Pete. Don't make it weirder.
Yeah, Pete.
Okay. All right. Here we go. And by the way, thanks for driving up from Portland to be on the Leaf Life podcast.
Yeah.
It's nice.
Number one, you designed the June cover for the Leaf Magazine's Impact issue by incorporating artificial intelligence into the artwork. By the way, here it is if you're watching on YouTube. See the cover? See how cool that is? Bunch of giant nugs impacting in somewhere in the middle of the desert and causing maybe an extinction?
A rebirth.
Oh, there you go.
My gentleman.
Nice.
Yeah. Anyways, are you glad we didn't put Level Heady on the cover like we'd originally planned before reaching out to you?
Yes.
Not weird.
I don't understand.
What just
It
happened?
was obviously an inside joke.
Yeah, I guess.
I got that.
What?
Ricker, you're making it weird.
Yeah, I'm being
geez,
straightforward.
Was that the point?
Don't make it weird, Ricker. Wait, what?
Wait,
Wait, that was my AI speaking. All right, number two. AJ feels like combining art and artificial intelligence equates to artificial art, which is downright cheating. Do you also cheat on your taxes?
Oh, that's uncomfortable.
No.
Oh, my goodness. That's not
He's smiling.
appropriate. Yeah.
He doesn't know.
Subjective. Cheating on tax. No, I don't
No,
cheat on my
no.
taxes.
Look
I'm
at
very
him.
straightforward.
Look at him.
I pay
Say
my
that.
bills,
Yeah.
pay my taxes.
Wes,
You gotta declare.
I think for the first time this show, he's being disingenuous.
Don't make it weird.
Yeah,
Don't make it weird,
that's kind of
Pete.
weird, Pete.
Fuck, Pete. Come on,
Jesus,
bro.
I'm
Pete.
just.
I thought we
I
How
asked
many
you.
square foot
I thought we
feet
made it
is your
clear.
home office?
Yeah. Yeah,
420 or 4,200?
Something like that, huh?
All right, number three. Do you feel like your intelligence is artificial?
It's just like for a sec, just had to wrap my head around that for a sec because that could be.
Wonderland question.
I was like, is it?
That's it.
That's existential.
I was going to say,
Yeah.
it's an existential question
Oh,
for
yeah.
Design that.
sure.
Don't make it weird.
See?
It's already weird. Nice job.
Hey,
That
Pete.
shouldn't have got me thinking as much as all that stuff got me thinking way more than it should have. Too. But I'm in good company. You know, it's a
And you're
stoner's
high.
issue.
And he's stoned off at
right?
Ember Valley. Exactly,
Yeah.
Mary. Hey, brother, where can we find you on social media?
Instagram, I'm at pete.gibby.
How do you spell Gibby?
Gibby.
Nice.
Yeah, how'd you think it was spelled, Mary?
I-E.
Ah,
yeah.
Like Charlie Brown or Charlie Brown?
Exactly.
Pete, thank you so much for being on the Leaf Life podcast, brother.
Good one. Appreciate being here.
Great show. Hey, Wes, next week, vaping.
Oh, boy, my
Ooh.
favorite.
Yeah.
Let's go.
Download this and all Leaf Life episodes at leafmagazines.com. And please subscribe at YouTube for Leaf Life Podcast V2. Just look it up, man. Now get ready for another episode of Stony Baloney, which is also available at leafmagazines.com. And please be kind to animals.
Your hosts for Leaf Life are Mike Ricker and Wes Abney. Leaf Life is produced by Mike Daly. Some of the music heard is provided by purple-planet.com. Every bit of cannabis you use is female, so please respect the ladies. Leaf Life is brought to you by Leaf Nation, featuring Alaska Leaf, Oregon Leaf, Northwest Leaf, Maryland Leaf, Amsterdam Leaf, and California Leaf. On the shelf now in your local retailer. Now, please stay tuned for this week's edition of Stony Baloney by Mike Ricker.
Stony Baloney by Mike Ricker.
Cigarettes are healthy. The cigarette industry has really taken it in the butt this century. So can we please focus on some positives? After all, as we evolve toward a more tolerant society insistent upon creating a level playing field of fairness for everyone, we really should stop the addiction shaming. Sure, those fine orally fixated folks willingly welcome a small forest fire into their respiratory system with each flick of the bic, but who are we to judge? After all, it is their human right to laminate their lungs with a fresh chimney soot smoothie powered by a benzene boost. You know, there's a reason they call them cancer sticks. It's because the cancer sticks to your lungs. Anyway, smoking is literally exhausting. This explains why if I were to be blindfolded and asked to identify the mystery scent effervescing from your mouth into my fresh nostrils, my first guess would be exhaust. Because when you waft that wheeze, I recall a frantic chase toward a departing metro bus as the tailpipe burps out a cocktail of scorched, highly refined fossil fuels directly into my clenched face. But hey, not everyone is addicted, right? I mean, some users will claim they strictly smoke for enjoyment. Unfortunately, this enjoyment leads them out the door to an area 25 feet away from the building entrance, an average of 10 times a day, just to light up. But am I the only one who sees this ritual for enjoyment as a monumental inconvenience? Cigarette abusers will vehemently defend their crutch with any explanation in an attempt to convince you that there is at least one positive result to come from the act of smoking them. It calms my nerves, they will sheepishly defend. No, it doesn't. You know what calms your nerves? Counseling. Anyway, cigarettes are awesome and healthy. Marijuana cigarettes, that is.
Stony baloney. Some of the wardrobe, including Ricker or Wes's sick lids, is provided by Grassroots California. Check out the dopeness at grassrootscalifornia.com.
These products have intoxicating effects and may be habit-forming. Marijuana can impair concentration, coordination, and judgment. Do not operate a vehicle or machinery under the influence of this drug. There may be health risks associated with consumption of this product. For use by adults 21 and older. Keep out of the reach of children.